This is Jerome Corsi, and we're just getting started. It's a Friday, June 22nd, about 5 o'clock here in New Jersey, in the East Coast. And welcome to everybody. I'm seeing Bill, no Google compliance. I like that. Corsi Nation, yes. I'm going to now say we're going to start. I'm going to plan now to start a website, Corsi Nation. I like it. I like the title so much, and I'm going to need your assistance. I'm going to need your advice and guidance, the whole community out there, and looking forward very much to working with everyone and developing the plan. I'll discuss it a little bit later in the live stream. Lars Goran Fredrickson, good day from Peru. Terrific. Great to have you from Peru. Thank you for joining us. And Donu Takkev from Dublin. Step over the homeless as you visit. Fake news. Great to have you from Dublin. Terrific. I'm half Irish. County Mayo and County Cork for my grandparents. Dr. C. Camp, one of the moderators. God bless you, Dr. Corsi and Corsi Nation. We're seeing, I like Derek Fly from Atslan. That's the mythical nation that La Raza once reclaimed. Ken Stahl, Corsi Worldwide. Well, you know, we could do Corsi Worldwide too. I like Corsi Nation being worldwide. Mary Melcher, thank you from Serbia. This is great. Doctors from Tel Aviv, Boca, Sedona, California joining us today. That's very much of an honor. Thank you all very much. With a special shout out to Dr. Catherine Whitford, Whitford, Catherine Whitford, Dr. Catherine Whitford of Sedona, California. Well, Dr. Whitford, welcome here. We're delighted to have you join us. Thank you. You were the great group of physicians, the physicians in Boca. I want to give a great shout out to them. I really appreciate your continued long-term support. We're getting people coming in from all over. I think it's terrific. I see people, and also thank you. I'll follow the super chat. Rory Brown, thank you for the super chat. I am from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. Welcome. I think that's great. Hi from Australia, Serbia, Great Britain. I've had a couple of days off, and I hope everybody has been doing fine. I've missed you all. I actually have. I was thinking about today how much I'm enjoying doing these daily, and I'm trying not to have a break again. Take the equipment with me to be able to broadcast from the road. I hope everyone got a chance to view my video of my speech yesterday from the Heritage. It was a couple days ago from the Heritage Foundation. It's posted now up on. I posted it on 3 channels. I guess it's on my YouTube channel, JRLCORSI, the one you're watching right now. It's also on gab.ai and on Patreon. So I think it went very well. It's about a 35-minute speech. I was very pleased. I got a standing ovation, which is always very gratifying. And it's on my book, Killing the Deep State. I found out, yes, got a chance to spend some time with Karen Pence, Vice President's wife. She was a wonderful woman. She also spoke at the conference. She was terrific. Her daughter has written a little children's book about their bunny rabbit coming to live at the Vice President's home and attending all the events with the President. She's a delightful second lady of the United States, and it was terrific to be with her. The Heritage Foundation, I thought, it's a very prestigious place to be able to present. It was a great meeting, and I was a 35-minute discussion of my book, Killing the Deep State. Very, very well received. I've archived it, and I hope you'll be able to get to watch it. Yes, Dr. C.D. Camp, I did end the speech with God always wins, as I will again today. I've got a couple of announcements. I'm going to repeat this announcement. I have decided to do a website. I'm going to do it for my research and for being able to keep up with current events, and I'll be continuing to post, of course, on Twitter and YouTube and the like. But it's going to be the Corsi Nation. I've reserved the name. I am American Patriot. Thank you. Missed you. I really actually missed you guys for a couple of days too. I'm do everything. I was thinking about that today. I'm not real thrilled about. I'm going to do everything I can not to have to take more time off. In fact, I'm going to do another broadcast tomorrow on Saturday just to make up. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock on Saturday, June 23rd. Everybody from around the country, this is terrific. Thank you for saying it's a great speech. Richard Anderson, and Dr. D.C. Camp, great audience reaction. It was a terrific audience. It was packed. The auditorium was packed, and it was just terrific. I'm going to do we'll do the American Patriot. Thank you very much for saying in the Super Chat, missed you. I do appreciate it. I'm going to do I'm going to ask people to help in a number of ways. I'm going to ask for those who have skills in helping with putting together various websites. I'm going to have a group put together. We're just going to organize it now. You can be, as it were, moderators and assist us. David Hogan, thank you very much for the Super Chat. I'm also going to do some specific fundraising for the costs of putting together the website. I'll need some assistance, and I'll be asking probably mostly in PayPal. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do a crowd funding or not, but I'm going to basically want your assistance in raising some money to be able to put the website together. And I think it'll be a great way for us to be able to communicate and to bring parts of the story in a new format. I'm planning on archiving a lot of my research. Basically, I'm thinking we'll do a separate crowdsourcing fund for the website. Basically, we got to do some more detailed thinking on the exact costs and it's going to take. I want to take a lot of research that I have, which is literally, boxes and boxes, tens of thousands of pages of research, and archive them on this website. And I want to be able to continue to write articles and post various information on current news. I want to keep it very exciting. It will be called Corsi Nation, and my subtitle for it is Decoding the Future. And that was actually sent to me by one of the viewers here, Mountain Artisans. Wonderful presentation at Heritage. You had such a great response. I'll tell you, I thought that was great. Thank you, Mountain Artisans, for noticing that. It was a terrific, and that speech is wide. That's going to be a very influential speech. It's going to be seen quite widely and be viewed quite widely. And it was a great audience to have there at the speech. We'll be getting to we're going to be able to, I think, also I want to get your help. I really want the assistance of all the people watching here. I think we can do this. Summer Music, thank you for contributing. Thanks for educating us in the big picture. God bless. Thank you very much. I do want to organize a group of moderators for my website and a group of people who I can, rely upon to give us ideas, content, and to be with us on a regular basis. I think it's going to be, I want this to be a major site for advancing the cause of God, of the community we're forming internationally, of the advancement of freedom, and the turning back of this new world order. So I intend it to be a very active website and a good active one for me to coalesce and pull together many different things I have. I can take all the research I've had on Obama, all the research I've done on energy and oil. I'm going to feature some of the medical issues. I've done a lot of research and reporting on medical issues. I think there's going to be quite a bit here that is going to be exciting to a wide group, and I want your assistance. Just as I'm trying to build a community here with this live stream broadcasting every day, I want everybody's assistance on being part of the Corsi Nation internet community as we do a website. Maybe we could do a group blog. We should be able to figure out a way that we could incorporate a group blog into this. I'd like to do it so it would be really new in terms of the impact that we can have internationally. Wesley Boyd, do you know about USAID, OPEC, and CERCO? Yes, we probably ought to devote a broadcast to that. I want to prepare for it, but it is one of the service organizations that seems to be very much part of the deep state and very much behind the scenes. And we do need to expose it. And Wesley Boyd, thank you for that suggestion. We'll arrange for a future show to be dedicated to that topic. Let's start with some of, like we're going to have done typically. I want to review some of the news with you. I think there's some really important and exciting developments in the news, and I want to get behind the headline so you can see some of the significance here of what's going on. And then I also want to focus on the Mueller investigation, because there's quite a bit going on there. We're still waiting to see whether Rosenstein and Sessions at the Department of Justice will comply with the request from Devin Nunes, the House Intelligence Committees, and other in Congress to deliver, supposedly tonight, documents that the Congress wants for oversight, or next week face the possibility of impeachment. Quite frankly, I'd be just happy if Rosenstein and Sessions both got impeached. I think it's time to move on with, I don't trust Sessions, and I think it's time to move on. Cindy Lou, who? I would love to help, a retired teacher. Loves to educate and be educated. That's why I watch you. Well, thank you. I think you can be a great assistance. I think we can work out. I certainly wanted to be able to feature books and review books and do, have libraries so that people can know what are the key things to read. There's great opportunities for education on this website. Thank you, Cindy Lou. We'll be announcing it here as we get along and the steps that we're taking so everybody can participate in this community. The news, a big decision today in the Supreme Court. And I'll tell you, I'm certainly happy we have got Donald Trump in the White House to be able to continue getting the kind of Supreme Court justices that we have now. It makes a huge, huge difference. Makes a huge difference. One comment here. Yes, that's right. I think that's going to be part of the blog, part of the Corsi Nation website. It's not just information I want to convey, but it's why it's important, what's behind it, how it fits together. I want this to be a opportunity for us all to appreciate how you really look at the news as an investigative reporter, because you yourselves out there are more than capable of doing this and advancing this, and I want all of you to feel that you're empowered by participating here in the Corsi Nation and with what we're doing to, in your own lives, your own communities, your own countries, advance the cause of freedom. It's essential. If we don't do it, who's going to do it? We've got to take this on, and we've got to make sure that freedom is preserved. New World Order forces are strong. The globalists are strong, but they can be defeated. All we have to do is shine the light of day, the grace of God upon them, and they'll recede into the shadows. This Supreme Court decision, by the way, this is about the requiring law enforcement to get a search warrant before phone location data is able to be obtained by law enforcement. Now, this is so important because with all of these towers, these cell phone towers around the country, every few seconds, your location is being recorded into the internet with your cell phone. And what the Supreme Court decided today was that you're going to have to go, police are going to have to go and get a search warrant from a judge in order to get your locational data. This was a case that really is a landmark decision because it's one of the first decisions on how law enforcement can use this new technology of cell phones and the internet. And the service providers were largely arguing that they owned the data and that you do not own your locational data. None of us do, they say, because we surrender that right in order to use our cell phones. And the Supreme Court, with Justice Roberts writing the government's decision, the majority decision, said that it's a Fourth Amendment search to look at your locational data on your cell phone, and as such it's going to be required to have a search warrant. This is a tremendously important decision for protecting privacy. I mean, I'm excited about this decision, as excited as I am about making a decision to do the Corsi Nation website. James Bootko, God bless you, Dr. Corsi. Army, Corsi Nation, concessions reinstate Manafort's bail. He could, if he had the courage to do so. What I think is going to shape up is Donald Trump, I think, will pardon Manafort. I think it's going to be required. Manafort's being charged for old offenses 10 years ago that have already been looked at by law enforcement and the IRS. So returning to the news, I mean, this Supreme Court decision has me really excited because it's, again, a conservative court. Had we had Hillary Clinton appointing the justices, we would not be in a position to maintain a conservative majority and the court. I think we're going to build that conservative majority. I'm praying Donald Trump will continue to have more opportunities to appoint justices in the future. Secondly, if you saw it this week, there was a great announcement by Mulvaney, who is Director Mick Mulvaney, who's head of the Office of Management and Budget, presenting a government reorganizational proposal, which has not been done since the middle of the last century. I mean, this is required in order to reduce the bureaucracy. This is fundamental in cleaning the swamp. And I've had the opportunity to attend many presentations by Mulvaney, and he's a brilliant, brilliant guy. You could not have a better guy heading the OMB. Now, this government reorganization, which the Democrats are going to hate, involves moving the food stamps program out of the Department of Agriculture and into the Department of Health and Human Services, which will be named the Department of Health and Public Welfare. And it will also then put all these programs, public assistance, in one place, including food stamps and Medicare, and it will impose work requirements on these programs, a move that's been strongly opposed by the Democrats, but has been, I think, a fundamental idea for getting people off of a welfare dole and onto a more regular assistance that's temporary. Already Donald Trump has reduced dramatically the number of people who are on food stamps, and it was just mushrooming a huge amount on food stamps under Barack Obama. Barack Obama couldn't get enough people under government welfare because he thought it was improving their voters and their hold on voters. And I think for freedom we need to get people off of welfare. I'm very gratified. We have over 900 people watching us in the first 20 minutes of the broadcast from all around the world. It's a tremendous opportunity. I'm gratified by how many people are joining us on a Friday afternoon. And again, I'll do another broadcast on Saturday. Yes, a comment. Clinton had a workforce program for welfare recipients. Yes, that was put in by Newt Gingrich in his contract with America. They forced Clinton to accept these kinds of workfare requirements for welfare, but they all largely dropped out under Obama. I mean, Obama got rid of as many as he could and as fast as he could. Let's see. Social media is definitely upping their propaganda against Trump. We need to get organized for the midterms. That's one of the things I want to talk about here, especially in light of this all this propaganda that's going on in the border. I mean, if people have followed this story and really gotten down to the truth about this story, you can see that this family was never actually separated. I mean, this is one of the shocks of this migrant mother and the crying girl on the Time cover. If you haven't read the story, the child was never separated from the mother. The mother, it was a Honduran family, and the mother just simply pulled up with the child and decided she was going to come to the border and try to get, try to get asylum. Now, there's pictures of her. Her husband didn't know she left. The photograph used by the media in his decision to, say all these crying children was really the child. Child was there with the mother. The husband said his wife left him and their 3 older children for a better life in the United States. He said she was seeking political asylum, but made no mention of any gangs or threats by the government, just that his wife wanted to live the American dream. And then there's a photograph that's being broadcast. Twitter has it. It's being published by the Gateway Pundit, who I continue to do shout-outs to as one of the great sources of news in terms of really catching current news, and from a conservative point of view. Picture of the family in the car. The wife looks very happy with the child and the husband and the little girl. This family was never separated. The father of the Honduran girl, who became the face of the separation crisis, revealed that he has not been in touch with his wife or daughter, but was happy to learn they were safe. His name is Dennis Javier Valera Hernandez, 32 years old, had not heard from his wife Sandra, who was with her 2-year-old daughter, Yanela Denise, for nearly 3 weeks until they saw them being apprehended in Texas. And in the interview, Hernandez said he lives in Puerto Cortez, Honduras, said he was gratified his wife and child were being detained in a family center in Texas, but are together and doing fine. So the whole story, again, was another social media, mainstream media, a collapse farce. I mean, it was a ridiculous story. In the live chat, again, thank you very much, Super Chat, JV. I'm so proud of you, Dr. Corsi, for the speech you gave this week. May Yahweh keep you safe as you speak the truth bravely and boldly. Well, thank you. I did say some prayers going into that speech and some prayers afterwards, because I knew that it would be a speech that would draw fire from the left, especially professing the importance right now. It's never been more important to profess faith, and I continue to proclaim Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and that my religion is founded in the Judaic Christian tradition, which includes the Book of Moses in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I say that I walked 200 miles in 2005 with a group of Iranians who wanted freedom in their country after I wrote Atomic Iran. And I believe these were women who were sending money back to Iranian women in Iran so they didn't have to sell their children into sex slavery so the other children could eat. These are important to profess our faith, and I did in that heritage speech, and I believe it was very well received. We need to know how to talk directly to the Democrats. We're maybe not going to win them over, but we've got to make it clear to them that our convictions are based on faith, that our convictions are based on compassion for other human beings. No one wants to see crying pictures of children, but I especially don't want to see mainstream media lying, contrived, made-up, fake stories, and this one is classic. Now, what happened immediately after this story got out, and I pulled one of the Mexican candidates running for president in Mexico. I pulled the story, if I can find it here quickly. Yes, here it is right here. Mexican candidate for president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, called for mass immigration to the United States in a speech on Thursday, seeing this girl and he said, it's a human right for all North Americans, and said, and very soon after the victory of our movement, we will defend all the migrants in the American continent and the migrants in the world. He said all immigrants must leave their town and find a better life in the United States. He said it's a human right to leave Mexico and come to the United States. Well, I mean, this is the New World Order beyond borders idea. And it's just not, I mean, Donald Trump said it very clearly over the last 2 days. A nation without borders is not a nation. And the United States has always had very generous policies on immigration, but they have to be legal immigration. What the hard left is wanting to do is a communist principle of changing the demographics. So you change the politics. And flooding the country with illegal Hispanic from coming in through Mexico, the idea was to change the demographics of voters in the United States, because these immigrants would largely vote for Democrats, and they were largely basically raised as socialists. And, the point is, we want those coming into the United States to be resolved, as has been the tradition with immigration in the United States, to become American citizens and to become part of the United States. We basically need to heal our society. And part of what I was trying to give in that speech in Heritage is to say we've got to understand the Democratic Party is so far left it might as well be a communist party. It's intolerant. We have to explain around the world that it's conservatives who care for human beings. It's the left that will be intolerant. It's the left that will be no First Amendment. If you don't agree with the left, you go to a thought reform prison or a gulag. It's the left who has the Gestapos. I mean, this is really the thought police. We're celebrating decisions in the Supreme Court where you get to have your privacy in your cell phone. We're celebrating decisions where people are going to be free to immigrate, but immigrate with a purpose to be here lawfully. Mindful Daily, thank you in the super chat. I'm very pleased to see this. A few other things that really encouraged me in the news. Southern Poverty Law Center just had to make, and if everyone knows, I've followed them for years. They're really a hate group. I'm going to try to run through a few more things on the news here. It may take us a couple more minutes, but I do want to get through them. The Southern Poverty Law Center had to make a $3.375 million settlement to a Muslim reformer named Majid Nawaz, who had formed the Quilliam Foundation. He was a former Islamic radical who is now a reformer, and he has dedicated his foundation to introducing principles of in Islam, and he's I think done he's an honorable gentleman who I think has done a magnificent job. In the super chat, Gordon Carr. Yes, there was a planned exodus into the United States. It was not on people's initiative. They had support. We have, I think, 12 consulates, United States in Mexico. If somebody wants asylum, they can do it in a consulate near them, where they don't have to march their children across this dangerous desert. And that's what's being missed. And that's what's totally being missed in this entire debate. Jennifer Small in the super chat. Thank you. I'm trying to pull up your comment here. Yes. Before learning the truth of Time magazine girl, I was thinking the mainstream media is getting so hysterical they're going to be making big mistakes. Their own mistake may be the only way they do honest reporting. Well, I think this was a disgrace, and I think it really showed the majority of the American people who are paying attention the degree of Trump hatred. The degree of Trump hatred is insane. And it's, the Democrats are going to lose massively in November. Look at this massive rally that Trump had in Duluth, Minnesota. Overflow rally again. Another brilliant rally. Gordon Carr, thank you very much in the super chat. Both Gordon Carr and Jennifer Small, repeat contributors. I notice it. I appreciate it, and I want to say thank you and acknowledge it. Okay, now, with the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is really a hate group, and they've done everything they can to demean me. I mean, I constantly, them and Media Matters and Right Wing Watch, all these groups largely funded by Soros, are just hate groups that are trying to demonize anybody who believes in religion, wants to profess Jesus Christ, wants to profess religious values or conservative values. These are, essentially the kinds of things that make the Southern Poverty Law Center a hate group. And so many of the social media are using, Facebook and the others are using the Southern Poverty Law Center to be their censor. Well, this is a way to get rid of conservatives, libertarians, and those who believe in God. I want to also comment that it's now seeming that there's as many as 60 Christian and conservative organizations that have been identified as hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center that are considering legal action against this left group, this hard left group. Matt Staver, who's chairman of Liberty Counsel, and I know Matt. I really respect tremendously Matt and what he's doing at Liberty Counsel, said a number of organizations have been considering filing lawsuits against the SPLC. I'm going to contact Matt this week and offer to join the lawsuits or to help, to write about them, to get them publicity. Matt Staver is one of those who are countering the ACLU with Christian, Judeo-Christian tradition, religious belief, fighting for God and freedom and the Constitution against the ACLU, against the Southern Poverty Law Center. And I'm going to follow this very closely, and I want to join into it. Also, National Public Radio was sued for $57 million in a defamation lawsuit over their Seth Rich coverage. It had been filed against NPR over their 2017 report that Texas-based financial advisor Ed Bukowski, they reported had colluded with Donald Trump, President Trump, and Fox News to plant stories saying it was Seth Rich who stole the DNC's emails. Bukowski had offered to assist the family with the cost of hiring a private attorney. Family is now suing him for alleging conspiracy theories over the death of their son. But Bukowski, I think, is going to do very well naming media correspondent David Folkenflik and NPR in a defamation suit, alleging that Folkenflik and the NPR deliberately ignored known facts and evidence to publicize on 6 occasions a fake story being promulgated by serial litigator and Fox News arch opponent Douglas Wigdor. The fake story, according to the lawsuit, was Bukowski was working with the president, Fox News, and Russia to falsely paint Rich as the WikiLeaks source. That's tremendous, and I'm extremely pleased to see that lawsuit go forward, because again, this is the kind of way in which we have to be able to beat back the Soros-funded hard left that is cooperating with the mainstream media and the social media, Facebook censors, the censors at Google, who want to eliminate conservatives. All right, now let's get into the Mueller, the hardcore, the core of what I want to be reporting. And I think that today, the focus of what aside from the news of the Mueller investigation, what I want you to take away today is what I've been predicting is going to happen, and it's starting now to happen. Gordon Carr, again, thank you for a second contribution. Yes, in the end, God will win. It's I hope to be the theme of my life. I hope to be able to get this across worldwide. In the end, God does win. The main story today is that the approval of the Mueller's investigation is dramatically dropping. Mueller is now being seen increasingly as a corrupt prosecutor who has overreached his mandate. And there's a number of stories which are building this impression. I got this, and I decided to make it really the headline of today. There's a CNN poll that revealed that the way that Mueller is handling the special counselor investigation, especially the Russian investigation, has hit a low. According to the survey that was taken for CNN, only 41% approve of Mueller's handling of the Russian investigation. It's the lowest approval rating for the probe since CNN began taking the poll. Also, 60%, it's increasingly now a dropping percentage are believing that the Russian effort to influence the elections is a serious matter that should be fully investigated. That's now investigated. That's now down to 55%. Approval of Mueller himself is only 32% of responders, saying they have a favorable opponent. The special counselor, only 28% have a favorable feeling about James Comey. Now, this I think is going to continue. This is going to be a continuing drop in popularity. Now, the reason it's going to be a drop in popularity is, I think, out of Inspector General Horowitz's report to Congress last week, we learned so much about the corruption, the bias within, the one-liner given his limited mandate, as I pointed out, was that there was no political bias in the decision to prosecute. But that was only because Mueller was not able to second-guess the prosecutor. And if there was any legal reason that Comey and the prosecutors, Comey shouldn't have made the decision. He was the FBI, he was the prosecutor, he was insubordinate. But they had some legal basis for their decision. So one page of Horowitz said no political motive. 499 pages told you about the political bias. Now, the reason Mueller's investigation is dropping so dramatically, I think it's plummeting like a rock. Oh, by the way, JV, thank you again. Correction, God has already won. Not in the end, but on the cross. Well, if you see history like I do, whereas we are moving towards a conclusion that's already been written by God, yes, God has already won. We have to go through the battle, experiencing time as we do, but God has already won. And all the noise and fury we're dealing with in life gets us to the point of recognition. I do want to comment on Charles Krautheimer. I was very touched with Charles Krautheimer. I'd met him. Everything being said about him on Fox, I second. He was a gentleman. He was a Christian gentleman. Brilliant, brilliant man. We had discussions about Unfit for Command. It was really very heartening to me, his support. And I mourn his loss. He was a great, great treasure to America, and a brilliant genius. I always believed. I didn't always agree with him in his comments in Fox, but I always listened. And he could articulate things brilliantly. But JV, you're right. God has already won. It's our job, though, to participate in that winning. It doesn't happen without us. God is counting on that we will join the battle. And that's, I think, the ultimate vision of creating all this, is that God understands that ultimately we'll reject evil. Worldwide will reject evil. That's in every corner of the world listening to us today. And the governments are evil. The governments are the ones that this new world order are the ones we have to resist. But God has seen already the result, that we will join him. Our hearts will be opened. That the hardness, the bitterness, the hatred will not have a winning force. That's why the Democrats are going to lose in November. You can't win election on hate Trump. You've got to tell people what you're going to do for them. You've got to have an agenda. God has an agenda. And it's one that every human being on the face of the earth can participate in. And God is counting on that over time that will be what happens. I hope the live stream is continuing strong. Usually when I get into this kind of a discussion, the live stream seems to slow down and rebuffer. I guess that's our YouTube monitors watching. Some of the specifics that are really developing that make Mueller's prosecution, I think, his whole effort looks suspect increasingly. The story came out that this anti-Trump attorney who was identified by the Inspector General, by the way, the Inspector General did not unmask him, wouldn't name these attorneys who were so anti-Trump, named as attorney number 1 and attorney number 2 in Horowitz's report. And the FBI said, we can't unmask them because they work for counterintelligence. You know, they're part of the spy group. They might get compromised. Well, it turns out they don't work for counterintelligence. They worked basically within the office of the General Counsel. There's Lisa Page office. And they were hate Trumpers. Well, one of them, it turns out, and the names were mentioned. These are names I'm going to, they were Agent 1 and Agent 5. And the two of them were lovers. The FBI lawyers were named Sally Moyer, M-O-Y-E-R, and the other one was Kevin Kleinsmith, C-L-I-N-E-S-M-I-T-H. Lovers, Agent 1, Agent 5, writing hate Trump messages. Well, Kevin Kleinsmith previously worked for Democratic Governor of Michigan, Jennifer Granholm, whom Hillary, in her confidence she was going to win the presidential election, named to be her co-chair in the transition team. And this is a lawyer who shows up in the FBI investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails. Well, clearly that not going to find anything. Kevin Kleinsmith isn't going to find Hillary guilty of anything. And then he moves over to the special counselor, Mueller, and his whole background is that he was going to work in the transition team for Hillary. I mean, this is basically, you know, another couple of lovebirds. I don't know if they wrote all these tens of thousands of emails. I mean, I still want to know how Stroznik and Page had an affair. I mean, they wrote so many tens of thousands of messages to each other. I think their whole affair was hating Trump and writing each other incriminating text messages, which now are going to bring down the whole house of cards. Clinton had actually named a 5-member transition team, and it was going to be this Democratic governor was going to be a co-chair of it, and Kleinsmith was going to work on that. So that's the kind of bias in Kleinsmith. And then also we learned from Inspector General Horowitz that one of the attorneys working for Mueller had written messages, Vive la Resistance. You know, resistance is the opposition to Trump. Well, this lawyer was fired. This lawyer had worked in the Hillary investigation and the Russian investigation at the FBI. Then this lawyer moved over into the to be one of the top lawyers for Mueller, and this was fired by the special counselor after it became clear that this lawyer, unidentified as yet, but evidently French-speaking. As Nunes said, will somebody tell me who this French-speaking lawyer is? It may save us ultimately a lot of time. I want to make sure over here the live stream is still continuing strong. Yes, it's cutting out a little bit. It was they somehow or other, my live stream, as soon as I go into these discussions of God, somehow or other the buffering starts. We'll have to see if I can't fix that, but I doubt if it's on my end. JV, again, reminder, please pray for the Holy Spirit, obey God and His commandments, Exodus 20, keep His temple clean, your body, peaceful Sabbath to all here, when the sun sets today. Right, Shabbat Shalom for the sun setting today to all of those out there. I'm still going to, looks like serious buffering. I think we're under attack for the messages we're trying to deliver. I'm hoping it'll remain strong on the archived, but we've gotten through most of it, and I'm hoping the buffering is now going to be restored. I don't think I need to start and stop again. I'm going to try to continue. I'll watch your comments over here. Has it come back? I want to make sure we've gotten it back. I know the buffering is going to be somewhat of a problem. So my point is here that Mueller's dropping in popularity. Good for now. Okay, it's back. Very serious buffering. The points I was covering while the buffering might have been there is that we've had this series of attorneys who were working for Mueller, who were outed in Inspector General Horowitz's report, who have now had to be fired. I mean, basically, we're saying, yeah, here's a good cow. Dr. C.D. Cab is saying Strozik and Page were engaged in voyeuristic treason. They may have been engaged in a little bit more than voyeuristic treason, but it was treason. I'm convinced of that. And by the way, Strozik has now been escorted out of the business in a building, and he's lost his security clearance, but he hasn't been fired yet, which is another reason I don't think we can trust Sessions, and I don't think we can trust Rosenstein. I'm going to try to do my broadcast tomorrow at 5 o'clock, which I think should be after the Sabbath, which is going to start here very shortly. And I hope everyone heard me, didn't have the buffering interrupt, saying Shabbat Shalom to all of those tonight on Friday night. As we get into the Inspector General, what I think is happening is that the American people are now beginning to realize that the Inspector General has conducted a completely fraudulent investigation. We have Mueller, who has indicted a Russian corporation that did not exist at the time the crimes were supposed to have been committed, where it looks like the FBI have got millions of pages in Russian, but they can't produce anything that these bots were supposed to have posted on the internet to influence the election. And even Rosenstein, who I have about zero respect for, said that the Russian bots indicted did not influence the election. I doubt that John Huber, who was working with Sessions, Sessions, Huber is going to be assigned as the U.S. attorney, as a prosecutor, working with Horowitz to try to bring indictments, and we're supposed to trust that. I'm sorry, but I just don't trust any of that. I'm finding increasingly, and there was an excellent statement, I did pull it out today, on the fact that we cannot trust the deep state to investigate itself. Let me just find it here quickly. Chris Farrell, Judicial Watch, who I also have tremendous respect for. I know Chris. I've known him for years. Very, very brilliant, very careful, good lawyer working for Tom Fitton. Came out and said on Lou Dobbs on Fox Business, he said the FBI is no longer capable of investigating itself, nor is the Justice Department, nor is Mueller. And I think all these biased statements that we're getting make that clear. Said, Farrell said two things, Lou. Number one, we need grand juries and indictments. I don't think there's anybody out there who would disagree. What we need now is grand juries and indictments. You know, this trust sessions thing, I think is just, there's no basis in it. I don't see it at all. I think we have to look beyond that. Chris Farrell says, I'm tired of all the talk and all the report writing. It goes nowhere. It's just an attempt to placate the public and put them back to sleep. We need grand juries and indictments. Okay, now, I think Chris Farrell is right. And I think it's time that we put an end to Mueller's investigation. And that we, basically I hope Huber is doing his job. I hope there's going to be a lot of indictments, but I'm not counting on it. I'm seeing that, my experience is when the Justice Department investigates itself, nothing happens. This other criminal prosecutor who's a friend of Mueller and Weissman, who's on the Mueller team, allowed a FBI supervisor for 4 years to leak to the press. It's buffering again. I see it's buffering. Okay. Let me see if it comes on back online. Let me see if it's gone. Is it gone or is it coming back? Offline, buffering. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can... Is it buffering it back or not? Back. It's coming back now. All right, I'm back. I'll look at all the equipment here on this end. It's Soros buffering. Mega Brexit. Soros buffering. I think it's Soros buffering too. President American Patriots asking, is President Trump running in 2020? I'm completely confident he's going to run. I think President Trump feels the hand of God on him. I think he has a mission. And his mission is to, as he said, to drain the swamp. It is to clean out the corruption. And I don't think Donald Trump is going to quit at the end of 4 years, because he won't have accomplished it all. Chris Frank, thank you in the super chat. Contact the British Embassy at 202, is a phone number, 202-588-6500 in D.C. to protest the incarceration of Tommy Robinson. Be respectful, but let them know we won't forget Tommy. I think that's extremely right. And I second that, Chris Frank. We've got to, I think, and I'm trying to make it a point in every broadcast, maybe even at the very beginning, to make sure we comment on protecting Tommy Robinson. Chris Frank, just so I get this out for everybody again, I think thank you in the super chat for reminding me it's extremely important. Contact the British Embassy in Washington at 202-588-6500 to protest the incarceration of Tommy Robinson. Remember, he's the British journalism who was thrown in prison for live casting a hearing in which children were being, this is a group of Muslims who were charged with grooming children for sex trade. And it's against the law in Great Britain to live stream a hearing, but Tommy Robinson is a citizen journalism who's a true hero. I think it's about the third time he's been incarcerated, trying to exercise what here in America we still hopefully have as First Amendment rights. Thank you to Donald Trump, because under Hillary Clinton, we deplorables would be considered criminals for all the things that Hillary wants to put us in prison for. That we don't like the LGBT agenda on religious grounds, that we want legitimate immigration. That doesn't make us criminal homophobes. Can we get a RICO suit against the mainstream media? Might be a nice idea. There was a RICO suit filed, and I'll cover it tomorrow, against Hillary, her foundation, against David Brock. I'm encouraged. There's a lot of lawsuits here on our side. Our side is finally learning how to fight back against the Soros-funded left. And it is by lawsuits. And with Donald Trump yet being blocked, including by Jeff Flake, unfortunately, in Arizona, one of the senators whose lame term is going to be fortunately gone, we should be able to get a better judiciary. And if we can expose these criminal prosecutors like Mueller, Pret Bahara, putting 4 years in the case of Billy Walters, having Agent Chavez, supervisory agent of the FBI, leaking systematically the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I mean, these, I think, are crimes on the prosecutor's part. It's time to end Mueller's investigation. And the public, I think, is seeing it and is agreeing. And today, if we don't get full satisfaction from Rosenstein turning over documents to Nunes in the House, I think it's time to begin impeaching Rosenstein. The overwhelming reaction of the public, as I really felt it would be from Inspector General Horowitz's report last week, was that the Department of Justice and the FBI are corrupt down to the core. And yes, if we can allow those agents who want to speak out, as I say, with the theme of God always winning, there'll be those who want to come forward and tell the truth. Let's get subpoenas and let them come forward and tell the truth from within the FBI and the Department of Justice about this criminal treasonous plan that was concocted by the deep state. Then we're getting an increasing number of people in the deep state who are part of the conspiracy to make sure Donald Trump did not get to serve as president. If Mueller is losing lawyers, and Mueller's whole camp is being seen as a hate Trump operation, well, just like the Department of Justice, Strozik now out. Remember, Strozik was not out until the Inspector General's report was public. He was still being protected by Rosenstein. He was still being protected by Sessions. We need to basically I will cover Gary Byrne, and I will cover the RICO suit that was filed, but I want to do it justice tomorrow, and I'll focus again on the lawsuits again tomorrow so we can cover them. There's just so much to cover, having been gone for a couple of days. I do want to thank everybody for watching my Heritage speech. Please review it. It's up there archived. My Heritage Foundation speech, which I did on Wednesday. It's archived on YouTube. It's on Gab, and it's on Patreon, all of which you can get through my name, Jerome Corsi. I think it's Jerome_Corsi or Jerome.Corsi for Patreon and for Twitter. And on YouTube is JRLCORSI. I apologize that we had the buffering attack, but I can see that we're being effective in these themes that we're beginning to raise and continuing to raise are themes that the deep state does not want to raise. If I can sum up today's presentation, the news is encouraging, and the Supreme Court is finally protecting our internet freedom, our cell phone freedom. Very encouraging when the cases beginning to be brought against Facebook, YouTube. All these internet edge providers had better realize that Donald Trump and now the Federal Trade Commission are watching, and the attempt to censor conservatives has got to stop. Otherwise, these companies need to be broken up. We need an Internet Bill of Rights. And the Supreme Court decision on the cell phones is very encouraging. I'm also very encouraged that we see that Mueller is now being exposed as a corrupt prosecutor. And my effort through this next week is going to be to bring Mueller under investigation for Uranium One, for his cover-up role and his criminal role, bringing uranium to Russia for Hillary in 2009. And I'm going to end by saying I want the community to be involved. I'm going to be discussing over the next week increasingly plans to form a website, Obama Nation, which I got from those of you who suggested it here in the live chat. I'm going to want your assistance, not only in prayer, but also to assist as moderators, to be on the team. We're going to set up ways for everyone to participate in the website actively and to assist us in getting it put together. I am going to seek donations so that we can get the cost of this covered on PayPal, and will very likely, my PayPal account is again Jerome Corsi, and you can find it very easily under one of my jrlc@yahoo.com. My initials jrlc@yahoo.com. I want people out there can start making some memes for the website. The subtitle of it, I think, is going to be Decoding the Future. And that's really what I want us all to be looking forward to, is decoding the future. Because like I end these always saying, and in the end, God wins. And we're helping to decode that future to assist God by doing our part in that victory. I want to say to all of you, God bless you all from around the world for listening tonight. I really appreciated the community forming and your participation on it on a Friday night. Shabbat Shalom. I'll do another one tomorrow after the Sabbath at about 5 o'clock. I'll post Eastern Time tomorrow, Saturday, June 23rd. I want to end by saying, as I always do, not only does God always win, but God bless the United States of America. God bless all of you listening around the world, and God bless Donald Trump. Thank you. This is Jerome Corsi signing off on Friday, June 22nd at about 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Look forward to seeing you.